Hey, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Drew McCrary, and today going to be talking to you about getting started on Upwork. We're going to cover a lot of content today, but where I like to start usually is this quote that talks about the fact that Upwork provides over 500 skills and over 70 categories of work. And it's important, I think, to note that on the front end because being very specific about things like your profile and your proposals and the exact skills that you bring is we hope that we can continue to build a system that will recognize all of those skills that you bring and help clients find that very specific thing that they're looking for to help them get work done faster. So we're going to talk about the platform, your profile, the process of applying for contracts, how to get paid, how to collaborate, and some resources about how to get information in case it's not covered here in the level of depth that you are looking for. So I'll cover each concept at a high level. This is intended as a beginner webinar of the platform. And if you're looking for more information, you can go to our help center or our community or our hiring headquarters and get more information as you need it. So, overview of Upwork at large, what we're going to talk about today, how to discover contracts, where do they appear on the platform, what do they look like, go through a couple case studies of those, a little bit about the process of submitting a proposal, what good proposals could look like, doing the work itself, communicating, collaborating, etc., and getting paid and what that looks like on our system. So the way we've built our system overall is that we bill based on the client per client relationship. So for the first $500 you earn with each client, the fee will be 20%. From $500 to 10,000, it's 10%, and then 5% above 10,000 per client. And this is really leaning on um, the fact that as the relationship between y'all gets longer, everything tends to get better. So we are leaning on longer term relationships here in terms of the billing structure. Um, as a freelancer, there are a lot of journeys that you could go on in your time on Upwork. And so I want to talk about a few of them at a high level. And some of those, our different programs, our Rising Talent and our top rated program, our Job Success Score, which is the scoring system of our platform, and then some of these premium programs or Upwork agency. So our premium programs, we have our larger enterprise clients. And as you become more successful, you may qualify or be invited to apply for some of these bigger or longer term contracts with them. Additionally, you might decide that you want to start some sort of agency because you like to find the work, to subcontract the work, or things like that. Or maybe you are invited or join an agency so that folks can find the work for you and you just do it. These are all part of the kind of entrepreneurial questions you may ask yourself as you're running your own business, which you are as a freelancer, whether you know it or not. Excuse me. So, the first program I want to highlight, our Rising Talent program, is when you first get started en route to your JSS score. And um, depending on how you fill things out, if you qualify, you receive this badge which says, hey, this person shows high potential on their early projects or their profile. And you'll have this badge until you receive your job success score, and then it goes away. Again, you can find more information on these programs on our Upwork Help Center if you need it. But the job success score is the score you get based on a combination of public and private feedback, your long-term client relationships, rehires, contracts that don't result in work delivered. So this is the kind of um, this system by which a lot of clients will look at your score. I'm sure many people ask, what happens if I don't have this score, but I've done a lot of work in my life or off the platform or on other platforms or whatever. And so um, having a very complete profile, testimonials, good examples of the work that you've done, these are things that can really help to show that, hey, I'm new on Upwork, but I'm not new to this field. So we'll show some examples of that in a few minutes. And our last program, the top rated program, if you have a job success score and it's above 90% and you've done strong work over multiple clients over a certain amount of money every year, you can qualify for this program. Again, it's a badge that gives a little more visibility for you and shows that you are one of the top performers in your category on the platform. So let's get a little bit more specific and talk about profile and brand, etc. We could talk a lot about brand, and I think this is a good time to mention that if you go on our community at community.upwork.com, you can search for webinars and find the link to all of the other webinars that we run, and that will have some deeper looks at profile and proposals and things like that, and maybe in your local language. So if English is not your first language. So brand wise, just at a high level, um, what does a client see when they look at your proposal and your profile and what you've written? And what are they making up about you? Because we are judgmental people just because of the way our brain is working. So, in 5 to 10 seconds, what is a client making up about you? And so, just something to consider as you build your profile and are adapting and adjusting to sending out more proposals and working on getting that first contract. So let's get specific about a profile and take a look at this one. So you'll look at this profile and make a judgment about this person. What are they asking for? Is their rate and their skill? And what do we think about that? So I see this profile, and this person is in the Philippines and they're asking for $50 an hour. And their first sentence says, I have a good communication skill to communicate to the clients. So I'm already very skeptical. For me personally, I would immediately discount this person because I would be looking for a fluent level of English at $50 an hour, um, among other things. So um, every piece of information you put in your profile is giving data to potential clients. So this is an example of maybe not the strongest profile versus this profile, which is really showing um, a very, very specific skill and very well, in my opinion. So they say immediately they've worked on over 1,000 decks. They want they're a PowerPoint um, presentation designer. So they've worked on over 1,000 decks for tech startups. They've worked with the senior vice presidents and vice presidents. They've worked with these companies, and then they go on to present examples of things they've created in the past. So even if this person hadn't been very successful, but they have been, you can see in their profile how clear and specific they are, and to the level that you can do that is very, very important. And you can also consider things like an introduction video or other things to have you stand out so that a client can get a sense in how to know you or get to know you, because there's sometimes a fear of the freelancer as someone who may just go who they may be across the world and they don't know them, and are they going to stay around for their the contract to finish? Or there might be some of those fears. We don't know for sure, but helping to create a relationship and know that you're a real person who wants to work hard for them um, can be really helpful, I think, in crossing that gap. So let's talk a little bit about the process. Most of you will find your first contract on the job search, and you can customize a lot of this to look at new um, contracts that just got posted, or so that might have a new contract that just got posted, all or someone had one that is older that nobody's applying for. So we don't know for sure, but there are some buttons you can click on. Payment verification, I like to bring out. A client will have to verify their payment method before they start a contract. So if they have not been payment verified, the chances are they are a new client. So you can ask yourself, do I want to potentially try to work with a brand new client? And maybe you could learn to work with them and teach them about the platform a little bit. And that can be a great thing. I've heard good stories about this. Or maybe you want to work with a very well-established client who knows exactly what they want and are very clear. So you can play around with all of these based on experience level, budget, etc. And I'm going to talk about those two cases I just mentioned now. So on this first job post, we can see that this job post says, we need translators for translation of technical documents from Russian to English, $1,000 fixed price. Um, do we have questions? What do we know about this job post from just looking at it? We know they need 4 freelancers. We know it's $1,000. We don't know how that's split up. We know it's a new client. We know they haven't hired before. This is their first job they've posted. And we know that they're active. We know how many proposals. We know they're interviewing. But we have a lot of questions. We have a lot of questions about how many documents, what kind of documents, how many words, what field, right? So when is it the deadline due? How many words is it? So this is an example of one where we have a lot of consultation to do versus a job post that's very clear. It doesn't mean that this is a red flag necessarily, but certainly we would like to have more specificity on this job post. And you could decide whether or not you wanted to have a consultation with that person or just pass that one by. Now, that is contrasted with this one, which is a PowerPoint presentation. It is a verified payment method client hiring for uh, a big company, probably, or some company. 2,746 jobs posted, 100% higher rate. So we know that this is going to fill, right? We also know that it's for a C-level audience, so the like CEO, COO, CFO, whatever. First draft, final draft, how many slides, style. Couldn't be well, it could be more clear, but it's very clear. And this is very different than the last one. So on this one, if you have the skills, and you know you can do it, then your proposal is going to look differently than the other one where you might not even know if you are in the right field to translate those documents. So these are just two examples of how jobs may look on the platform and everything in between. So as you look at those, some of the things I mentioned, but how long would this work take you? What parts do you need to negotiate or ask questions about? How would you do this job? How are you going to write your proposal to make the client want to talk to you without giving away the secret sauce necessarily, i.e., giving them free work, right? You don't want to give them free work about how to do their project, and that's a really tough consultation piece. And so there's no one correct answer because every field is a little bit different in terms of what information you might share as part of the industry standard, right? So, but it's just something to consider as you send in a proposal, and what is okay to share and what is the point where I say, okay, I think you should hire me if you want to see what that actually looks like. So here's an actual proposal for that second job post. And I like this because um, it's clean, it's clear, and it has examples. We assume the examples are relevant to the job post and are good. I'm going to assume they are. But right away, this person does not bury the lead, AKA, they say, hey, I've worked for thousands of decks. I've worked at a big company before. I've presented to high levels. I have done a lot of work for these big companies, and here's how I design. And hey, let's talk, right? So this person is very clear about what they do, and the client will decide, hey, is this person, is their style what I'm looking for? And maybe they're a fantastic freelancer, but their style is just different than what the client is looking for. And so maybe that client will pass. But again, I think this person has done a good job, in my opinion, of putting their style forward with a very clean proposal. So there's not one magic formula for a proposal, but if the client is asking questions in their job post, then certainly answer them. And you know, giving examples of your work and ways you've done work with other folks in the past are also some good best practices, in my opinion. So if you want to ask for more opinions, you can go on community.upwork.com. There are lots of freelancers on there who are giving their own opinion, and you will likely get an opinion, which is great. I think it's an awesome opportunity, though it is someone's opinion. So be ready for that. Be ready for that. And as you put in a bid, the system will help you with your rate to look at the fees, et cetera. And so you can get help on what your take home will be. I'll talk about the difference between a fixed price and an hourly project in just a minute, but know that the system will help you set it up. Interview wise, the client will decide how they want to interact with you. Um, they may want to get on a video call. They may want to get on a voice call. They may just send you messages. I, as a client, will, depending on the project, sometimes I don't need to have a call with the freelancer. If they have great work and I just need a simple task created, then maybe I don't need a long interview process. I've looked at their samples and I see that they can do the work, and I just am having a chat with them and then say, okay, great. When can you get this done by? Which is really um, the magic question you'll get asked in every moment, in every interview, and everything. We need this done yesterday. So can you do it yesterday? So um, I think I have this on the next couple slides later, but I'll just say it now. You want to communicate. This is my opinion. Over communicate and get all of your questions answered before you start work, because you do not want to have a situation where you deliver work to the client and they say that's not what I wanted. um, and so making sure to get very clear on that, how you'll communicate, where you'll communicate, what you'll communicate, who you'll communicate with. These are really important things to do early and often. The thing that you don't want is the message from the client saying, hey, can I get an update on this project? Or, hey, where are we on this? Those are not usually good questions and usually come from fear, in my experience. If I ask my freelancer who's doing a project for me, hey, just wanted an update on this thing, I've now become worried about where they are or the work that they're doing. So, not usually a great message, though it could also just be a, check in. They got a message on, or they got a request for an update. One little pro tip that I always recommend: if you have a skill that is maybe harder to demonstrate with just your proposal, or you want to show that you can do the specific thing the client is asking for, you can suggest a test project. The client might not know about this. It's just simply that the client sets up a small project. They set up a new contract and maybe one milestone, and it lets them pay you for work that you complete. And just for a simple example, let's say they wanted a picture of a cat in a certain art style. You could draw something in that art style to show that you could do it, so that they should then move forward with working with you. So that's just one way that you can um, ask for, or lead them to let you show them the specific work that you do. So again, I think it's worth repeating. When they decide to move forward, make sure that you understand um, how work is going to be delivered, when it's going to be delivered, what you're going to do, who can you contact if you have a problem, any access you need to systems that allow you to do the work, etc. Really, really important. Um, Early communication, I think, is my opinion is that it's critical for long-term success, and helps you build that longer relationship that, as you do more contracts with one client, maybe they don't need as much communication because they know that you're great and that you do great work, and then that it'll get completed. So you can just not communicate as much. Every client's a little different. Okay, so let me talk about the two types of contracts briefly: hourly versus fixed price contracts. So, at a high level, an hourly contract is about time. How many hours will you work per week? And generally speaking, if you work those hours, then you get paid for those hours. Versus a fixed price contract is a set of money in milestones, or like a stoplight. So you drive to the first milestone or stoplight, deliver that work, deliver that work, and then you get paid when the client is happy with the quality and releases the money. And then you go to the next stoplight or milestone. So that work is more about quality and completing exactly what the client asked for. And so being very clear about what the client wants is a great way to make sure that you are not in an endless loop of that's not what I wanted, 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 that's not quite what I wanted. And then, it gets more difficult from there. So let me dive a little deeper into each one. On an hourly contract, let's say, for a very easy example, we agree to answer the phone for 10 hours a week at $10 an hour. Very just simple example. So we work for the 7 days, we work 10 hours, and then on that Monday, the client is charged the $100. The money goes into escrow. So it is held for that 5 days, and the client can review the work and have any conversation about that. And then after that's locked in, and then the money will be released the next Wednesday. And of course, work continues the next Monday. It's just this is the overall cycle. So, generally speaking, if you are using the tracker, there is a level of protection for you and for the client for the work on the time. So, that is how the overall process works. And that time tracker takes periodic screenshots of your desktop when you say you're working, so that if the client needs to review, they can review it and say, um, were you working when you said you were working? That's versus a fixed price milestone where you have these stoplights along the way to say, make, the picture of the cat. And then the second milestone is make a picture of space. And the third milestone is color it all in, just for a simple example. And then at each stop, there's a set of feedback, right? So the client funds the milestone. And this is important because the client presses a button, the money is charged to them for the first milestone. Let's call it $100. And it is held in escrow while this happens. So then you submit the first piece of work, they review it, either say great, green light, make a few changes, yellow or red, that's not what I asked for. You drew a dog, I asked for a cat, whatever. So um, once they agree, then they release the money and then it will be released to you. And then they fund the next milestone. It takes the money and pulls it into escrow again. If you submit work, and this is how you are protected as a freelancer, and the client disappears for some reason, we hope it never happens, but let's say they just disappear. After 14 days, if they ghost you, then you would get that money released. That's why it's really important to always have a client fund the next milestone, because then you can start working because you know that your time is protected. Very important. And as it relates to payment, your payment methods are going to localize based on where you are. We're all over the world, so it's hard to speak in specifics about what is available to you. But when you have money available, you can take it out. So you'll decide how to do that, and any relevant fees, and some are different. Well, they're different based on what is available to you in your area. We are working tirelessly to always improve the ability for you to get your money fast when you need it and when it's available immediately. So how do you collaborate? How do you use the system? We have a messaging platform, and we have inside of that there are the ability to share files and videos, and it's meant to be an all-inclusive place to get work done. You may end up communicating on some client's platform. What I suggest is that you have a record of all communication, and especially delivering all work on the Upwork platform. Why? Because if something ever happens, then if you need to dispute it, if a client goes sideways, we hope it never happens. But again, my personal opinion is communicate early, communicate often, be very clear about the deadlines and what the client is asking for, just in case there's a matter of like scope creep, or they change their mind, and you can say, I have to protect my time. This is what you asked for. This is what I delivered. I sent it to you on the platform. And then you always have the ability to dispute anything that could happen. So um, just know that you have that protection. And you always, of course, hope that the clients will be great and communication will flow smoothly. But just like in life, things can happen, and we want to provide um, some protection on both sides if you need it. So know that. So if you're going to use the time tracker for an hourly project, then the Upwork Desktop app is a great way to do that. You can get that on just about every platform that you have or device, and use that. So once the contract is over, or seems like it's over, and the reason I say that is sometimes clients just may want to keep work going because they're busy and they might not want to start a new contract. They don't have any ill intent, but you may need to ask them to close a contract or start a new contract and deliver feedback. Why? Because you want to build your JSS score, and you may want to have 3 contracts of reviews than having one long one that they just kept adding milestones to, as we call it, scope creep. It does happen. So the system itself is just like every other rating system. It's double blind. You don't see their feedback. They don't see your feedback. If you provide it or they provide it after 14 days, then it becomes available. But yes, it's something that is really important, and you may have to be assertive and ask for it. So something I just wanted to mention. You're also have access. You also have access to My Stats. It's a great tool for looking at how you are doing, and as it relates to your kind of scrappiness or your entrepreneurship. And know that you might have to change your style. You may have to change your proposal format. You may have to change your skills tech. I mean, there's a lot of things that may have to happen as you get started on the platform. So this is a great tool to learn and grow and adapt as you get started. I'll mention briefly In our terms of service, the one non-negotiable thing is that you need to stay on our platform. If you find a client on our platform, then you need to get paid on our platform and you need to stay there for a minimum of 24 months, or the client could pay an opt-out fee. But above and beyond that, if you see something that seems strange or too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true or strange. And so report it. We have teams working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, really making sure that our platform is safe as it can be. There are always bad guys on every platform. And so we are working to make it so that you can have a safe platform to get work done quickly and to deliver work quickly. So please report anything. It should be pretty clear that there's a button to report things. If you see a strange job or spam or anything, please report it. We would love to take a look at it. Okay. So last couple things on resources. I got three to share with you here. Number one, our hiring headquarters is about education. So education about freelancing, top skills on the platform, etc. That's a great place to learn about um, not just freelancing, but also how clients think or what's popular, stuff like that. Um, and then community-wise, I mentioned that this is where the calendar of webinars is going to live. And you can go to community.upwork.com and get real people's opinions. Again, as you get started, hearing from other freelancers who have succeeded is a great way to build your network or to learn or to get a diverse set of opinions, even if you might not agree with them, right? So it's a very active and vibrant community. We love it. So check that out. And then mechanically, if you have a question about any of the things I mentioned, right? Top rated program, rising talent program, job success score, profile, payment, my stat, whatever it is that I mentioned today, you can go to Upwork Help Center, search for it on your favorite platform, and you can get the answers that you need. So um, is the mechanical way to answer any questions about using the platform. So with that being said, I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for listening, hanging out with me for a little while. Again, I wish you the best of luck out there, and I hope that this at least points you in the right direction of the resources you need or the confidence you need to get started. And we wish you the best of luck out there on behalf of the entire Upwork team, and look forward to seeing you out there. Thank you so much for coming.